welcome everyone. So I'm Ryan Graham. I'm a part of the team here at PropFuel. Welcome to today's webinar. So we're going to be talking about mastering SMS for improving your association's member engagement. So we're going to get started. Just quickly about me. I lead the sales and marketing team, the revenue team here at PropFuel. I've been in the association space and specifically technology vendors working with associations for about 19, close to 20 years. We'll round it up. So been across a number of different technology organizations that work, again, with associations. I live in Kansas City, have 3 kiddos. We have two dogs, one of which is a new puppy. So if you want to see a picture of a new puppy that's a 10-week-old chocolate lab, send a chat or a question in, and I'd be happy to see if I can dig one up while I'm talking here. Just a little bit of background about what we're getting into, and then I want to start with just a high level about, all right, we have a request for puppy. Oh no, I have to try to do multiple things now while I'm chew gum and talk at the same time. We'll see if I can do that. Oh, and sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, I just realized. Thank you. Goodness gracious, you'd think this was my first webinar. Guess we all have those. I'm going to blame that on the puppy. I have puppy fatigue right now, so that's why I wasn't sharing my screen. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the untapped potential of SMS, what it presents as an opportunity. We're going to talk about how to incorporate SMS into your communication, some best practices, some strategies, how to provide that and know when to provide it, where to provide it, who to provide it to. And then we're going to talk about specific use cases that we see paying off with our clients that are using SMS today, so text messaging. Just quickly about PropFuel. So if you're not familiar with PropFuel, at PropFuel, we have about 250 clients. They're all associations. That is, the association space is our sole focus. And really what we see is associations have a strong desire to present and create a personalized and relevant experience for each one of their members, an experience where a member feels like, hey, I'm being heard, I'm being listened to, I'm being valued, and then commensurate with that, I'm being presented with benefits and tools and resources and things that align with what that association knows about me. And so what we see is that's what associations want to do. However, there is a gap, and the gap is oftentimes because either the association doesn't have the right data, or most often, I would say, we see that associations, the tools that they use are focused on broadcasting information to members. They're focused on telling members about everything. And what we find is when members are, I'll call it, bombarded, so to speak, or just kind of everything is dumped out to them, they disengage. And then disengagement leads to things like lack of renewals, lack of consumption of benefits, educational products, low lapse membership, all that sort of stuff. And so the thing that we see that and believe that is really lacking, so to speak, is the ability to listen to a member. So what PropFuel does really well is we listen to what a member is looking for so that we can capture insight from them, and we can then take action on that. We call that Ask, Capture, Act. And specifically, within Ask, Capture, Act, what we do is we're engaging members with questions. Now, we started, and still the bulk of what we do around this is done over email. So we ask a member a question over email. The member can answer that with one click in their email inbox. That's going to lead to us capturing insight from that. And then using a set of workflows and kind of a rules engine, for lack of a better term, we're going to automate a series of actions to do things where we're going to engage that member immediately with something that's relevant to them. And we have a number of ways to do that. And then we're also going to lead them down a broader journey. And so lots of stuff that goes all into that. I'm not going to get into it any more than that today because we're here to talk about SMS, but I feel like I would be just kind of skipping over something if I just went right into things without telling you about what PropFuel does and who we are. All right, I want to get a little bit of chat going, if you don't mind. I know there's a bunch in chat. I haven't really dug through it quite yet. But so tell me, is your organization using SMS for member engagement, for communication? And if you're not, do you plan to? I'm going to scroll through the chats here a little bit. Um, all right, so I'll just read some of these as they're coming in. So, no, we'd like to. We're not using SMS, but we'd like to. No, but plan to. Seriously considering it. We've launched a mobile app. Not sure if SMS is a good step. No, but want to. No, but plan to. So, just engaging, yeah, in renewal. Tried SMS, wasn't successful. Need to rethink it. Our association is starting down the SMS journey. Okay, cool. So I think a lot of people, oh, here's actually an interesting one because we're going to touch on some of this. We're trying to, but there's legality involved that is putting us behind. That's a really good point because there are definitely different legal ramifications and, for lack of a better term, hoops to jump through than there are with email for good reason. All right, so I would sum all that to say a lot of people are at the same place right now, which is yes, there is interest, there is consideration for SMS, but not a lot of people doing it. And that makes sense. I'll tell you, as I said earlier, we have about 250 clients, and I would say probably 20% of our clients are using SMS through PropFuel. And so all of them, or vast majority, um, it was their first kind of step or foray into using SMS. So let's get into it. I want to first of all kind of define SMS just to make sure we're all on the same page about what it is. So SMS stands for short messaging service. Now, if you didn't know this, it's kind of interesting. A single SMS message is broken down into 160 characters or defined by 160 characters. So you may not realize this. I don't think I realized this, but if I were to send someone a 350 character text message right now, technically speaking, at the carrier level, carriers being, Verizon, AT&T, so on and so forth, they would actually break that up into, doing the math, 3 text messages. Now, it's not going to come across as that. Someone's not going to get 3 text messages if I do a lot of typing. But what's going to happen is they're actually breaking that into 3 distinct messages. So that ultimately has ramifications for using a product and how credits are calculated and all that sort of stuff. You have multimedia messaging, so MMS. Basically, you know what this is. It's non-text content. So it's content like an audio message, a GIF or GIF if you prefer that, a video file, a picture, stuff that goes beyond text. It's not an emoji, however. Emojis fall into a standard SMS. And then you have things like, and this is really more I would say our kind of definitions, but it's for consideration, is outbound. So think about outbound, you're sending something to a group of members that is a timely message that they need to get, members, prospective members, whoever it might be. And then there's inbound, which is kind of, you have to think about that as on demand. It's always on. And it's, when a member wants to interact with you at their time of need, interest, that sort of thing. And we have some specific campaigns actually that are dedicated to outbound SMS versus inbound SMS. That's why we also kind of break that down for that reason. All right. So I guess really the question is, why is SMS so compelling? What makes it interesting? And a lot of it is it's excuse me, an untapped channel in the sense that most of communication that happens from an association to members, prospective members, et cetera, is happening over email. It's a vast majority. And the thing is, email's great when it's used effectively. But email open rates have become emails pretty saturated. Therefore, open rates are, typically the highest open rates are things like 35 to 40%. Now, bookmark that because even those numbers are a bit of a black hole due to, recent, I would say now probably about 2 to 3 year old privacy regulations. You don't always really, that's not a great metric. Really, the better metric for email is click rate. And click rate, and this is actually interesting. So click rate, the average click rate for associations and nonprofits is about 1.9 to 2.2, 2.3%. We see substantially higher. We see, vast majority of our clients see closer to double digits. I don't know our average off the top of my head, but it's somewhere in the range of about 10 to 12, 10 to 13% we see on average across our clients as click rate. That's pure click rate, meaning how many people did you send it to? Okay, you sent it to 1,000. Okay, 130 people interacted with it, or whatever those numbers are. That's your click rate. So at PropFuel, we see substantially higher click rate with the way that we engage members over email than most email. However, it's still not what SMS gets. Now, you may have seen this stat, SMS open rate is 98%. Now, that's a tricky thing to really calculate, but overall, without numbers aside, what we know is SMS, the open rate for that is much higher, generally speaking, than email. People kind of deem SMS as something, you get a text message. Because you get fewer text messages than you get emails, generally speaking, it doesn't feel as overwhelming, and people are more likely to open and engage with a text message than an email, generally speaking. So then we think about, okay, where are the places where there's sensitive communication happening, time sensitive communication happening, where it makes sense to engage with a text message? Because that really is the trick for it. What we see work best with our clients is when they're engaging with things that are time sensitive, not just general broadcasts of information. I mean, if you're broadcasting information to say, hey, we have 400 courses, and we'd love for you to look at our 400 courses today online, that's not going to be a great text message, because for a number of reasons, it feels promotional, and there's no value being created, in the sense that the value that's created through text messaging is when there is a time sensitive nature to it. So the things that oftentimes, is just a few examples of things that work well that are time sensitive, are things related to membership renewals or lapsed membership, expiring membership, early bird deadlines for conference. Hey, you know what? Our early bird deadline, April 4th, ends this day. You still want to save $100? Conference related details. We see clients doing some really cool things around, hey, have you booked your hotel yet? Have you planned your your plan for sessions? Have you gone into our app and done built out your session plan yet? Have you, whatever it might be, things related to conference, certification renewal, continuing education deadlines. Hey, your mandatory CE deadline comes up on this date. You might want to get some hours for CE, call for papers, things related to advocacy and timeliness around specific issues, votes, that sort of stuff. These are things where, and this is the feedback that we see our clients getting from their members, when a member gets a text message related to these types of things, the member is grateful. They feel like a service is being done for them. They feel like, I don't love this term, but they feel like the association is providing a white glove benefit for them. Hey, you are going above and beyond to carry something to me that is helpful, that is timely, and that gets me information that I need to know now to take a specific action. And that's viewed as valuable. And doing it over SMS is a great way to do it. Reality is that the association to member relationship is best received and has the best perception of value when there is a personal nature ascribed to it, when it feels like it's personalized. And a lot of that comes back to why people join associations. And we don't have to get all into this, but basically at a high level, any individual joins an association for a handful of things related to networking, continuing ed, or learning products, mentorship, career advancement and opportunities, certification, obviously bolts onto continuing education, just being in the industry and having awareness, and a slew of other reasons. Reality, though, is that is a much more of a relationship-driven purchase, so to speak, than most products and services. Therefore, we see there is a higher reception of text messaging because there's more of a relationship foundation. If I go off and I buy a product from Shields, which is a sporting goods store here, I see people as I go into the store. I've probably transacted there 20 times, let's say, over the course of this year. I don't feel like I have a personal relationship with Shields. If I join the Software Salespersons Association of America. And I was welcomed by their director of membership. And then I went to a conference and I met a few people there from the association. Over the course of 6 to 9 months, I'm probably going to feel like I have more of a personal relationship with them. Therefore, engaging with them or being engaged with over text messaging, over SMS, feels more natural. Feels more natural than if Shields were to send me a text message about whatever it might be. And again, there's more there's more stickiness, so to speak, there too. And when you can create more stickiness, again with another channel, a lot of value is created. The idea of choice too is a big thing. So as we think about members across different generations and the ways that they engage, and again, I don't think we ever want to put members in a specific box just because they're of a specific generation. However, reality is there are some people based upon either their profession, their background, their generational, the generation that they fall into, and other things. There's some people that really just prefer to communicate over text messaging. And the reality is what we want to do is, as an association, open up as many channels as we can in a scalable way to meet the different preferences of members. So there's some people prefer to be communicated with, engage over email. Some prefer doing it in a very high volume, dense way through an online community. Some people will never open your email, will never engage in your community, and they're going to engage and they want to be communicated with over text messaging and other things related, or other related channels. So what this also does is it gives us a way to, for lack of a better term, segment and understand who are the members that want to engage with text messaging. And so oftentimes when we help clients with this, one of the first things that we'll do after capturing consent, or maybe as a part of capturing consent, we'll get more into that, is understand of our members, do you prefer SMS as your preferred communication channel? Or is it your secondary? Or is it just you have no interest in it at all? So now that said, millennials, younger generations, there does seem to be a preference and a leaning towards SMS. It's viewed as more personalized, less invasive. Reality is brands are communicating with a lot of younger generations through text messaging, so it's well received. But again, the key is we have to meet a member where they're at instead of just trying to force feed members all through the same channel. All go to email. All have to do this. All have to do that. We don't want to understand, and we want to try to broaden out those communication channels. One thing I wanted to say again, just as a quick reminder, I didn't say this up front, so it's not a reminder, it's the first time you're hearing this, is if you have questions during the webinar, you can either write them into chat or write them into the Q&A. And Mac, who is here with PropFuel, and I will keep an eye on them. And Mac, if there's a timely question, just talk over me and jump in and throw it in. And I want to address that as it's being asked, because it'll be timely at that point. All right. So thinking about personalization, we've talked a lot about this, but reality is, again, and if you know Reggie Henry with ASAE, I kind of go back to a couple of things that I've heard him say, or that we've talked about with him over the years. When I think about personalization, he was sitting with an association a number of years ago who was a member of ASAE, and so he was having a conversation with them in a boardroom. And he was asking them some questions. How do you feel about this? Are you interested in this? What do you think about that? And the person stopped him and said, Reggie, hang on, stop. He said, she said, you should know this. You should know me. You should know this stuff, because I've been a member for ASA of X number of years, and you should understand my needs and know who I am. Now I'm paraphrasing this. But basically they're saying, like, you should know me. Therefore, you should be able to engage me in a way that is relevant to me. I should be getting stuff that matters to me, stuff that's personalized. The other thing is, there's a lot of personalization happening from a consumer standpoint. And one of the things that I don't know if somebody said it, someone in our tribe has said it at some point over the last couple of years, but basically, when you have a member, their last experience as a consumer with Amazon or Stitch Fix or whoever it is now their expectation as they come to you as an association. So if they had a highly personalized experience where, at Stitch Fix, I don't know if this is, I remember reading this about maybe 2 years ago, that they have 80 to 100 data scientists on their team. And the core thing that they do is focus on organizing their data so that they can create the most personalized experience when someone comes to them. So if that's what we're kind of up against, so to speak, or that's the expectation layer that's being created, we got to get closer to personalization for associations and the experiences being provided to members, because reality is that's the bar. Now, in order to get to that bar, we need a couple of things. We need more data or better data. I wouldn't say more data probably isn't it. It's probably really better data, because reality is most associations have a lot of transactional data, a lot of behavioral data, but you don't have a lot of data that matters to understand the needs of a member. And so, putting that as a top priority, really the data and the experience around that is important. And a lot of times the attempts at collection of that sort of data are really manual, are somewhat anecdotal, and not representative of the whole, and they lack the ability to be acted on at an individualized level. So oftentimes you hear associations say, hey, we know that members join our association for this reason. And the reason is because there's a recency bias, or there's something where they've had conversations with members at conference and they're like, this is the reason I joined. Reality is that was 8 people. And one of the things that we'll do is when we do a new member onboarding campaign with our clients through PropFuel, an email new member onboarding campaign, the first question we typically ask is, hey, what do you want to get out of your membership? Or why did you join X, Y, and Z association? And I remember a client telling us this a while back, like, members join for networking. Well, it came to pass that 68% of members, over a really good representation of members and data, join for educational products and related resources. So, that's a critical element of this. All right, so everyone's kind of said this to some extent, but if you have something other than what was said around, a huge challenge being legalities and that sort of stuff, what do you see as the biggest concern or challenge to using SMS for member communication? And again, if you've already said it around the legal aspect of it, you don't have to re-say it. But if there's other things that are concerning your association, I'd love to hear those. Really good one. So someone just said getting members to opt in to receive SMS. That's a great one. Really appreciate you saying that, because that's certainly a hurdle. Just give everyone else a sec. This is a really good one. Tying responses and related information back to our AMS. That's a great one. And then a couple more have come in. Besides opt-in, preventing SMS from becoming as ignored as email. Yep. Cost involved. Figuring out where it fits into our comms plan. Yep, I get all of those. Those all make a ton of sense. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. It's extremely helpful. And I'll actually show you an opt-in example in just a little bit that I think is going to be pretty helpful. Very expensive to implement across multiple countries. Yeah, that is challenging. I'll dig into that a little bit. All right, so how to get started. And this dovetails into what we talked about. So first thing naturally that we have to do is we have to really, this is above and beyond everything else, is we have to get consent. So SMS is extremely highly regulated, much more so than text messaging, than email, in that the ramifications of sending text messages to people who don't want them are extremely high. So one of the things that we do with PropFuel, and I'll show you this, is we tie into our functionality for sending emails. So I wasn't going to do this, but I just feel like this is valuable to do. I wasn't going to show you a live demo, but I think this could be pretty cool, actually. So this is a really good example. So this client, Pyra, they're an HR association with about 7,000 members. So this is a campaign that we ran for, or that we're running for them. And basically, we're going out to members and we're saying, would you like to opt in to receive our communication? Now, oftentimes the opt-in approaches that are done are just either really manual, really clunky. You can't get the data into multiple places. It's way too much of a lift than it should be. So what PropFuel has the ability to do, and this kind of dovetails into some of our core functionality, is again, when someone answers a question a certain way, we have the ability to execute any number of these different actions. So in this context, what we're going to do is if someone answers this question saying yes, we're going to do a number of things. First of all, we're going to remove them from this campaign. We're going to opt them into SMS. So we have a whole engine in the background of PropFuel built around SMS, built around collecting opt-in, communicating opt-in to the carriers, all of that sort of stuff, including opt-out and all of that as well. So when we opt someone into SMS, that is this isn't the exact term, but I'll just use it this way. That's a hard opt-in. That is an opt-in for that person's phone number at the carrier level. What we also have the ability to do then is take this data and update the AMS with it. In this case, we're updating your membership. So what's happening here that's really powerful is the person's answering yes. So I answer yes to this, and I'll explain the logic of what we're doing for the member experience in a moment. We're immediately opting them into PropFuel. We're text messaging. We're immediately opting them in or setting the opt-in flag in YM without any manual back and forth of data, without a member ever having to log in and set an opt-out field in their record, without the staff having to do anything. Nothing has to happen. And then what we're doing is we're looking to see, do we have a phone number, mobile phone number for that record according to the data that's been synced from YM to PropFuel, YM being their AMS. And we would do this with any other AMS. We have about 40 to 45 integrations. If the answer is no, we're bringing them to this field, branching them to an open text question, asking them, what's your cell phone number? Now, a couple of things happen here. When the person types their phone number in, we validate, we have a field validation level where we can validate the formatting as a phone number format. And then we're going to bring that number in, we're going to associate that in PropFuel. We actually call a service in the background of our platform that validates that the phone number entered is a mobile phone number. And we'll tell you in their record, this is a mobile phone number. If it's not, we'll say it's a landline or fax or whatever it is. That way, if it's not, you can go back to the person, validate, and actually say, hey, the number you gave us isn't a mobile phone number. We need to get your mobile number. We're also going to take that and we're going to write that back to the record inside of YM, which I think we do here for Pyra. So we collect that phone number, and then what we're going to do is, we're going to update the contact field for mobile phone number inside of YM. Again, that's happening automatically through our integration with YM or any other AMS without the member having to log in, any manual back and forth from a data standpoint with the on behalf of the staff. So reality is when our clients start using PropFuel for SMS, one of the most beneficial, valuable things that they're getting right out of the gate that our clients love is this ability to really make opt-in plug and play without all the manual stuff and just really make it a very easy process. So that's the first thing that we need to do for SMS is that, because again, sending messages over text is just a whole nother animal. Opt-in methods, I talked about this. We have a few other opt-in methods as well. So we have email campaigns. We also have inbound SMS campaigns where you can actually, and I'll show you this because I might as well at this point. We have other campaign types where you can actually send someone a QR code, or I'll show you an example of this, or send them a link. So if you had members where, let's say you didn't have let's say that you're at a conference and you wanted to collect SMS at that conference. So what you could do is, here's an example, is you could create this campaign. You could generate with it a QR code. And basically, or you could give people a number, say, hey, text this code to this number and we'll opt you in. And basically by either scanning this QR code, following to that link, or texting this number to, texting this code, basically what that's going to do is the same thing. It's going to automatically engage that opt-in, and then we can do things to write that opt-in and, all the things that I talked about earlier. The key, again, just like anything, is having the ability to collect opt-in multiple ways in whatever preference works for your member, whatever's easiest for them, and is related to thinking about the different ways that you engage members. You see members at conference, you see them at a 2-day symposium. It's a great way. Hey, scan this QR code, opt into our SMS. Or again, if you're kind of operating at a more of a virtual level with members or the bulk of your membership, being able to do that over email is great as well. Other requirements. So there's a whole, set of very specific requirements. I won't get too far into this. But when you think about text, you need to explicitly state who you are in that text message. You need to tell them what you're texting them about. I have an example of this actually. I think in the next slide. Give them a general time frame or general sense for how often you'll be texting them. You need to clearly communicate, that they can opt out at any point. I mean, that's a critical thing. And you've seen this if you've gotten text messages where you say, hey, at any point you can opt out by, saying stop or what, those different kind of key terms. You need to state that message rates will apply. Give a link to your privacy policy. Here's kind of a good example that you can include. So where this comes in is you can make this a reply. You can put this on a post thank you or a post opt-in thank you page. So for example, in this one here, what we do is when someone sends that, scans that QR code or sends that number in, what we do is we'll do something like this. This is just a very basic, example, message and data rates reply help for help, reply stop to unsubscribe. We'd also put a link in here so you can, link out to your privacy policy. So that's another aspect of this that we do is we help clients with that language and some of that. um, while we're on kind of this topic, so after you have members opt in, and I'm just curious people's opinions or perspective on this, what would you use SMS for first? So I know a lot of people said they're thinking about SMS. What are some of the things that you would first do with it? What are the glaring areas? And I know often like things like advocacy, that's one people already may be doing text messaging for advocacy, but what are some of those really low-hanging fruit things that you think about? I'd be really curious. Someone said renewals, member retention, renewal reminders, onboarding. Yep, that's great. Oftentimes in a new member onboarding campaign, what we'll do is ask, as one of the emails, hey, what do you prefer? What's your preferred communication channel? Or ask, hey, would you like to opt into our SMS? And that works really well. A very targeted professional development registration. I love that one. That's great. Expired members, lapsed members. That's awesome. That makes perfect sense. Okay, great. These are things that we can talk about all of them. Abstract submissions, that's a really good one. Things like call for paper, renewal reminder, early bird deadlines. I mean, these all line up as the really strong use cases, the use cases that make the most sense. Data updates, Daryl, thank you for that. Good to see you, Daryl. Data updates, yeah, that's a good one too. So actually, I can talk a little bit about that as well. All right. So. Um, few things to think about. I said some of this, but again, just to reiterate it. So the first time you text members, you just want to be clear who it's coming from. The reality is, you set up a phone number in PropFuel. So 414-496-0060, let's just say that's the phone number. You send a text message to someone and they get this message and it's, hey, your membership's getting ready to expire. And they have to be like, well, wait a sec, what? Who is this? How do they know my membership's getting ready to expire? So we just want to be very clear with that. Now, in PropFuel, we have the ability to build all of that around the text message builder. So just to give you some perspective of the flexibility of this, I think it's helpful to just see some live kind of things as well as we're going. So I'll actually just show you building a campaign real quick. This is just to show you how easy it is. All right, so I'm going to pick my campaign type. It could either be email. These are core email campaigns. It could be text messaging. So I'm going to say it's text messaging outbound sequence. I'm going to pick a number that I'm going to use. Okay, great. Now my campaign's created. Now what I'm going to do is add my messages to it. So first message is going to be something like, hey there, it's ABC Association. I have a new keyboard, so I'm like still learning to type on it. We wanted to let you know your membership is expiring. Now, within this, a few things that we can do, just to give you a sense. So we can add an attachment to this. It could be a file. It could be an image. We can add emojis. So we have a whole emoji library built into PropFuel where you can leverage all of these. Let's say I want to add an emoji here. And let's say I want to add a link too. You can renew here. So I want to add my link. Let's call it propfuel.com. All right, I'm going to add my, or actually, sorry, let me show you a couple ways that you can do this. Let's add a really long link. So I have this link here. Let's just say my Gmail link. So I'm going to shorten this. All right, so I'm going to shorten that. It's going to create a much shorter link. Or if I just have a basic link, that is already shortened, I can just add it in here and it'll automatically hyperlink it. So any of those work. A few other things that we can do. So we can personalize this. Just go into the idea of personalization. We can personalize this with any of your AMS data. So if you want to say, hey there, first name, or I don't think I have first name mapped here for whatever weird reason, so I'm just going to use contact name. Or if I wanted to do something like saying, we want to let you know your expires on, let's see if I have expiration date. Yep, expires on this expiration date. So you can fully personalize the text message, the messages you send out with your AMS data that's all mapped to PropFuel across all the AMSs that we have integrations with. So I'm going to save this now. And then basically we could just build these out. So let's say I want to build another one. I want to make it certification. I would build my next one. I'm going to add another emoji to it. I'm going to save this. And then we can stack these and we can put any definition to them around when we want them to send. So I want this to send 1 month later. Great. Now here's my campaign. So we could do things around testing these so we can see how this looks. We have a ton of flexibility with this. So when we think about, again, just the different capabilities that are there, again, we want to just really clearly define who we are, how they can, what they should expect. We want to define how they can opt out. The way opt-out works, generally speaking, is there are a series of opt-out terms that are defined by the carriers. So if one of those terms, and typically those terms are things like stop, opt out, and a handful of others. So when those terms are used as a reply to a text message, that's what's going to opt someone out. So again, we put language in there, say, if at any point you want to opt out of our text messaging, please just reply with the word stop. If a member does that, it's automatically going to opt them out, and you'll see that opt-out flag for that contact inside of PropFuel.
Hey Ryan, just jumping in here real quick
Yeah,
before you move on. We got a question in the Q&A from Sunny.
I see that. Okay, thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. So here's a question. So thanks, Sonny. When an association starts, what should I can read, I promise. What should be our expectation of a good start? Example number of subscribers signing on. That's a great question. Um, little bit, some of it depends upon industry and profession. So there are definitely dynamics at play. Generally speaking, what we're seeing with our clients is in a matter of the first, 60 to 90 days, they're seeing an opt-in of, in the range of 15 to 20%, 10 to 20%. And so, some may be a little bit lower, but what we don't see is we don't see associations getting, although there's one that I saw that was a little bit higher. I remember, I forget who it was, one of our clients in the medical space. I feel like they were in psychiatric. They went out to their, I don't know, 40,000 members, and they got about 30% of them to opt in within the first couple of months. But generally speaking, what's not happening is you're not going to get like 60% of your members to opt in the first 30 days or 90 days or anything like that. It'll be a slower trickle. I think a decent expectation is first 90 days, if you get, in that range of 15 to 20% of your members to opt in, I think that's definitely positive. That's very positive. So thanks. That's a great question. So SMS for membership renewals. So this is definitely something that a lot of our clients do. We want to think about it in a number of different ways, but this just kind of outlines a specific client where they were going out 1 month prior to expiration. They were sending them a text message. And basically, what this was in place of is typically those auto-generated ugly renewal emails that are say the same thing over and over of, hey, your membership's expiring on this date. Here's a summary of our member benefits. Click here to renew your membership. Now, what's kind of cool with this is you can also manage replies. So I'll show you a good example of this. So Pyra, again, going back to them, they use PropFuel for, excuse me, a renewal campaign. So I'll just show you this, and then I'll show you also what can come of this. So this is a campaign. We're reading data from their AMS, so we're reading data from YM that says if memberships, so if a membership's expiration date is after 90 days have passed and less than their uh, renewal date or their expires date is less than 92 days ago, then add them into this PropFuel campaign. And so basically what we're doing is we're getting a live feed of these people every, I think for YM, we call their API every 2 hours. We're getting an automatic push of these people. So then what we're doing is we're sending them this text message within one day. We're saying, hey, personalized first name, did you know your Pyro membership expired? We miss you. Pyro has some fantastic benefits, da, 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 da. And we're giving them a code and they can reply, they can go about renewing from here. So they can either click to renew from that, or what they can do is they can reply. And what's kind of interesting is, so when we get text message replies, they actually go into what's called an inbox in PropFuel. And this inbox is something that you can take action on. And so in this case, this is just a subset. They had a bunch of members who replied, and like members who were like saying very thankful, like express a ton of gratitude. So they got this reminder. Hey, great reminder. Thank you. In this case, hey, thanks for this exciting new service. Congrats on bringing personalized texting to our members. Like that's crazy. When a member is thanking you for this, thanking you for getting that, like what an awesome representation. Just kind of interesting. We see again, this kind of goes back to that idea of I don't love this term, but the white glove service, just making it easier, really think of this as providing a value add service for members, not something that is going to be a suck to their time, something that's just going to make it easy for them to engage with you. Before I go further, we had a question. So if you collect mobile numbers for meeting registration, so you can send text message reminders, the welcome reception is about to start, things like that. Can you use the number you collected to start sending membership or other info without necessarily getting them to opt into other forms of communication outside of the meeting they registered for, legally and ethically speaking? All right, so just to be very clear, I think I said it on one, or Mac said it on one of our slides here. This is not to be construed as legal advice. However, it definitely depends on how it's being couched. So if the way you're couching it in that registration form is, can you provide us your mobile phone number so we can communicate with you related to the conference? I would say you can't and shouldn't carry that to other formats of communication, membership, et cetera. You really want to capture a global opt-in. Now, if you're using that and the language is different, it says, hey, provide your mobile phone number so we can communicate with you related to the conference and other membership and membership benefits, resources, and aspects of your membership with XYZ association. Yeah, great. You just collected a global opt-in, and that works great. So yeah, it really is in the nuances of the data. But great question, Kelly. All right, SMS for onboarding. So this is kind of cool. So one of our clients, and again, like vast majority, like 99% of our clients are associations. We have a client we just kind of started working with them through a different, means, and they are a national movie theater chain. So they have like 9 or 10 movie theaters, very high end, very focused on the experience. And so one of the things that we do with them is they have a rewards membership package. So when an individual becomes I think it's called an extras member, and it's called Showplace Icon Theater and Kitchen, they get an email from PropFuel asking them about their favorite movie genre. So we ask them, hey, what's your favorite movie genre? Then, based upon that, what we do is we use that to add them into a series of SMS campaigns. The SMS campaigns are used to send them specific offers based upon that movie genre preference that they chose. They also do it around like what food or like beverage would you like to have next time you come to one of our theaters, and do the same exact thing. But basically, if they're collecting that preference, then going back to them with a text message, just saying something like, "Hey, save 10% on a horror, movie with us if you use this code in the next 72 hours." And the crazy thing is, and this is just, they told us this, if I remember correctly, again, I think it's 9 theater chains across the country. They did it across all of them. And their average usage rate for the coupon codes was about 4%. And they told us, and that number means nothing to me. They told us that that number is outrageously high. Typically, they see like 0.5% to 1% usage of those. But it's just such a cool use case because, again, it's new member, it's tying into their experience, personalization, and cutting into a different channel. It's like so many cool things packed into this one use case. Pretty powerful, honestly. And I think a lot that could be taken from that, from an association standpoint. I mean, you could directly apply that to learning products. Hey, what topic is of most interest to you when you from an educational standpoint, and then use that in the same exact way. So pretty cool. We talked about this, but SMS for events and deadlines. So National Roofing Contractors Association does this. So they use SMS to communicate important event information. Specifically for their annual roofing day, they used it to do a couple of things. One, to communicate the last day to register for the event, and then two, to communicate the hotel room block deadline. And especially, again, like that's where you get into these value add service. Like they're not trying to pitch you anything, especially with the hotel block deadline one. They're not trying to pitch you anything. Not trying to sell anything. They're just trying to say, hey, we don't want you to miss out on this deadline for the hotel room block. Like, we just wanted you to know about this. That's pretty cool. That's really, really valuable. Content delivery. So NRCA also uses PropFuel SMS to deliver new resources like their recruiting flyers. And they actually do it in 2 languages. I think it's English and Spanish, if I remember correctly. But again, it's keying off of specific data and intent that they've captured. So what they do is they try to understand from members what resources, what resource topics are most interesting to you. And then when they publish resources in those topic areas, they have a list and PropFuel of that data, and they add those people into an SMS campaign to engage them with that type of resource. Again, obviously, all these people are opted in. So kind of interesting. And here's actually, Mac, thank you for I think the language around this was something to this effect. So need flyers and info to recruit industry workers. We have options for you in English and Spanish. I should have read that. It was English and Spanish. So kind of cool. Really good way to, again, convey like really timely resources. One other question that came through as I was just talking. So is it okay to offer an incentive to get members to opt in, like opt in to receive emails, get 10% off of registration, or is that shady? I think that's okay. Like I don't, we've definitely had clients do like opt-in incentives. Um, I don't think that's shady at all, in all honesty, because I think it, you're not tricking anyone, and they still have to say yes, I want to opt in. So it's not like you're tricking them or like getting them to make a decision under duress. It's not that by any means. I think you're just offering an incentive. You're saying, hey, this would be really valuable to us if you do this. Let's give you an incentive. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I don't think it's shady in any way. All right. Couple more things that I wanted to talk through. So, and this is actually, well, before I get to this, actually want to back up a little bit because there's a couple things that I hadn't really honestly like thought through or kind of prepared a slide for in the presentation. But based on a couple of the comments, I think it could be really valuable to highlight this. So a couple of people talked about the idea of taking SMS data, getting it back into your AMS, updating. Daryl, I think you said something about like updating member data. So one of the things that we've done, this is based on feedback that we've heard from clients, is, and I'll show you exactly how this works, is that they want to be able to use SMS in a structured way. So naturally, And this was when we released SMS about a year ago. It was unstructured. It was like the example I showed you earlier. It was sending out outbound messages, like this example, where we're saying, "Hey, are you aware your policy's lapsed?" And basically, when a member replies to your text message, those are totally unstructured replies, non-structured data altogether. What we've done is we've built the ability to have a structured campaign that interacts in the way that Propfuel emails interact. So I'll show you just an example of this. Actually, that's not a good one to show. Da, 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 da. We'll do this one. So what we can do here is we can say, we can tie into what Propfuel calls embedded campaigns. So embedded campaigns are a way to, first when we came up with these, we thought about, well, clients want to be able to deliver the structure of what Propfuel does and campaigns in other channels and formats aside from Propfuel emails, structured, Propfuel emails, which automate the whole process. But they want to do it through social media, their website, et cetera, et cetera. And then our kind of thought process was, well, we could take that structure and apply that into SMS. So basically what we've done here is we've created that ability. So let's say this one. So this embed campaign is asking, why are you hesitating to renew your membership? So instead of writing that text out in the text message builder here, instead of saying, why are you hesitating to renew your membership, or some other kind of communication, we're saying something to the effect of, tell us why you haven't renewed yet by clicking here. And what this is going to do is this is going to generate a personalized link to that external embed campaign for every single person that you send this out to. So we could say, hey, let's go to 500 of our lapsed members, or members that haven't renewed yet. And then we could send this. And basically what it's going to present them with is it's going to present them with this link. When they click that link, what's going to happen is they're going to be presented with whatever actions you put in place here. So if I answer and I say I'm still intending to renew, so basically it's going to function like this. They'll come to a page something like this, and they'll say, hey, why are you hesitating to renew? So if I say I'm retiring, then we can set up any action we want here. So typically a retiring action would be something like setting up a landing page with content where we're going to tell them about our membership, our retirement package. And this would be a dynamic landing page. And then maybe we'll send them an automated follow-up email. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to update the data inside of the AMS with this. So we can say update a field that is like a reason. I don't have a field for this in our Salesforce, but let's say just pretend this was called reason not renewing. It's called reason joined. And I'm going to take the response selection and I'm going to write that back. So basically now what we're doing is we're sending a text message and taking all the value of what Propfuel does over email, putting it into that text message so you can capture a structured response and do anything you want with it. Update the AMS, send someone here. We could say if someone answers a certain way, we could add them to another Propfuel campaign. That campaign, so let's say there's a really good general use case. So we go out to members, we say, hey, are you planning on renewing your membership 30 days prior to renewal? If someone answers yes, what we're always going to do also is add them to another campaign in Propfuel, read the data from your AMS, see who has renewed and who has not renewed of those people that said yes. Of the people that said yes and then have not renewed yet, in 10 days, we're going to send them an email and say, we know you're planning on renewing. In parentheses, we've captured them and we have a definitive, distinct understanding of their intent. And so now what we're going to do is say, how can we help you to get renewed? This way, that way, this way, that way. And so now, again, it's like we're dealing in very definitive, approachable data that doesn't require any guessing. And we can do very definitive things with it to help further the member's experience with us and create more value. So that's the other thing that I want to say about this is the structure that we put into SMS. So you have a lot of options now with text messaging. These are some of the ways that we see that clients can get started. There was a question about pricing for text messaging. So what I'll do is we'll follow up with that person directly. But again, if this is something that you're interested in, Matt, did you put the link to book a demo in yet, or how do you want to how did you want to approach that again? Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, just dropped them in.
Awesome. So in the chat, you'll see a bunch of links, a link to learn more about PropFuel, a link to get our SMS one pager, a link to download our engagement toolkit. If you want on our website, you can book a demo to meet with us, get into things in more detail, specifically for your association. You can scan this QR code as well, and this will take you directly to a page to do so. But these are some of the best ways to get in to really get started with PropFuel in SMS. The thing that I'll say too is vast majority of our clients, it doesn't have to be this way, but vast majority of our clients, they use PropFuel for both our email engagement product and SMS. And just to say it, our email product is not it's not designed to be a replacement to Informs, HubSpot, Real Magnet, MailChimp, any of those platforms. It's meant to be an additive platform that does something distinctly different. So when clients use PropFuel, for 250 clients, none of them are replacing Informs or anything like that. They're augmenting how they communicate. They're sending probably somewhere between 30 to 40% of all their emails out of PropFuel. Those emails where they're very focused on a specific engagement outcome. And then they're using Informs, Magnet Mail, et cetera, for the other, 30 or I can add 60 to 70% of their emails that are more informational driven. Their newsletters, their weekly blasts, their, those things that they're not trying to drive a specific outcome. They're trying to inform people about a bunch of different things. So just to give you some perspective, majority of our clients use both products. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way. We could potentially start with just SMS. So that's something we can certainly vet if we talk with you directly. All right, I've done a lot of talking. I feel like I did it pretty fast, maybe too fast. So my apologies for that if I did. But unless we have any other questions or anything like that to address, that's the end of the webinar. So we'll hang around for a minute. If we do have any questions or chat or anything like that, very happy to talk through them. But I hope this was helpful and valuable. Hope you took away some good nuggets from this to help you with your SMS journey. And I don't see any other questions or anything like that. So yeah, thank you sincerely, everyone, for your day. Have a good rest of your day. And that concludes the webinar. Thanks, everyone.